Good morning. I must thank TEDxAmbazari for having me here and what was empowering the youth energy. Since yesterday, I'm feeling the energy around this amazing energy amongst the youth of our country. Phenomenal. And thank you for having me here. I'm going to speak on the way I looked at healthcare industry in our country. And the first thing that I've seen was that if it comes to medicine, there's one thing that I must be good enough is mathematics. And that was my strong point. So at some point of life, when I realized I've had enough of medicine, I said, let's use this strong point of mine and navigate into some other field and try and do what we need as a developing world. At this point, what really is happening was that the interdisciplinary research is an important point. Because as a physician, we used to use gadgets, and some of those gadgets were amazingly costly. Point which was clear to me was they could be available at hardly any cost. And with this thought, I started talking to my friends on the other side, my friends in technology, software, and I was one of the first ones to buy a computer in Nagpur and started learning DOS. Even today, I have learned all the accolades that go with DOS, but as it progressed, it was impossible for me to be in touch with this simple operating system. And now what was happening is something which is totally beyond a common man. So that's where we started working on some basic coding issues, made some apps which solved the simple mathematical problems. As medicine fellows, we have kind of phobia for mathematics. Now this is across the world. So this is where I thought I must use this strong point for the benefit of my country and make the technology at hardly any cost and at an affordable cost for what should happen to, and I'm not able to see there's no, okay, fine. So at this point, I started talking to my colleagues in the engineering field, and first thing I had to learn was learn their language. The way they speak is different than what the doctors would speak. So learning the language of the other group was quite a challenge. Trying to explain them as to what I want was not easy. And it took me quite a time to make one of my first apps. It took me about a year to explain them what oxygen is and what carbon dioxide is. So, so that's where, okay. That's good. Yeah. So, one thing I must say is, we are not students of some object matter, but students of problem. I have a problem to solve, then I should know everything about it. Whether it's metallurgy, allied engineering, software. Now, when I try and get that into it, not that I need to know the subject, but I need to know the way to go around. And so somehow, there are areas where I worked for getting around the developing world. So I made some apps, some aspects of simulators, which are very important in our country, a sensor, indigenized some objects, and made a lung museum, which is one of its kind in the world today. Now, mind you, I have not done it alone. So when I'm saying this, I have done this, what I'm saying is, I've used all my resources, friends, but spoke their language, and I had this strong desire that I must make this for a developing world like ours. Now, these are the apps that I have. On your phones, you will see them. They are the possibly the largest number of apps anywhere any physician have made across the world. All of these are free, and there are lakhs of users, most in the developed world. One of my last app was on serious diabetic ketoacidosis. So we use one of the British algorithms for making that, and it has been used to so many kids with diabetic coma. Remember, these are all free, and why I have used red and blue is my icon, is red and blue is life. As someone in intensive care, we know if you're red and you become blue, you have only 3 minutes to survive. That means you're getting deficient in oxygen, and that has been my icon for years. So today, as I've said, literally there will not be any country which is not using my apps. And they're all used in critical care. So you're on a ventilator, these apps help you in monitoring your condition. One thing I realized, I had to learn Excel. And I took a real time to learn Excel, but learning Excel was the first point. Because if, as a technical person, I come to you for making an app, the first thing you'll be telling me, give a perfect algorithm, perfect numbers, and the medical people were not very good at it. So I learned Excel to a large extent, and that made my life much easier. You will see a couple of these apps and the places where they're used. So after having gone through this, I realized the trouble starts at point of care. I'm a critical care person. Patient is sick here. There's some report, and I need to act immediately. So I made world's first app on iWatch. And this is the only app presently on iWatch which has some critical issues with medicine. So you put in some important data, and you get a diagnosis, and press, and you'll get a consultant online. So this was the first app, which is still existing today as the only app on critical care for iWatch. So apps make medicine algorithmic, make it mathematical, and make it fast. These apps have helped lakhs of people across the globe to be critically monitored. Next thing was to make some hardware. So, when the patient on a ventilator, the most happening site is inside your heart, inside your lung. When we put tubes in, they measure pressure at quite a distance. And that was a point which has always been in my mind. So we have now so many books and graphs which have basically come from sensors which are far away. So we made possibly world's first sensor, which is inside your chest, which is inside your trachea. And recently we got a patent for this. This has been an effort for the last about 10 years. And so I'm just going through my way before we made the sensors was making Indian simulators. And again, a simulator would cost you 6 lakhs. And we made a simulator which was not as good, but was available for 25,000. And that was all made in Nagpur. And we have learned critical care through these simulators. So education is a critical point. And that was made simple by these simulators. These are first Indian simulators when it comes to critical care. So let's talk about the sensor. Now, this sensor, I've told you, lies in the trachea. And I was the only physician presenting my paper in ASME, the hall full of engineers. For a while, I was thinking, what do I do? But I made a said, I'm a doctor. Even if galti ho, it doesn't matter. They will know that I'm a physician. So, but not almost, I was the only physician in the engineering crowd. And this was our research with Bits Pilani. So recently, we were awarded a patent for this. And this was an article which came in the Times of India. And I'm happy that respected Gadkari ji read that article and gave these good thoughts on this. So, then on making devices. That's where the COVID started. When I saw so many patients dying of lack of devices, it was something which struck my heart. I said, we must get into the process of making devices. And we really made a lot of devices, and they have been used. Like the first one was this oxygen helmet. This was my project with IIT Bombay, was funded by Thermax. And this is the only helmet which is studied with flow dynamics inside, as to how the gases flow inside the helmet. This was marketed by Inaxel. And let me tell you, all these processes, I have no commercial interest. So whatever was done was my passion, and worked with my friends to get it to an industry-ready situation. Then we made India's first non-invasive ventilator, and there are a lot of unique things in this. So this was kind of crafted and conceptualized in Nagpur, made in some industries in Pune, but the entire process took our COVID time. We couldn't even realize what was happening, but it was great working on these devices. And then we made a very small ventilator called Pranasetu Mini, which is almost one-fourth of a size, but a lot of features, including a feature, my own mode called pranayama mode. So you can do pranayama when you're on this machine. I don't want you to be on this machine ever, but if at all you have to be there, when you're coming out of this machine, you could make this. Now, these machines were made at global standards. They were shown across the world. Audio is not working. So you can see here the augmented reality, the way it was working in our machine, and it shows you everything. And then what we did was, everything was transparent. We have not hidden anything, because the idea was simple, that we wanted the world to know, I wanted our colleagues to know how the machines work. Then was a topic on lung museum. So Mege Group supported me on this project. This is world's first such museum which depicts lung and machines in working condition. It's not just images and models. So you will see them working. One of the machines that you see here is a transparent ventilator, and this is a ventilator called Mini. See the size of this machine, and you have the idle lung there. So this can be used for transporting patients. This can be used for monitoring patients. And this machine is made transparent because I wanted engineers to see, I wanted doctors to see. And every of these machines look like a black box. I wanted to uncover this. It was not making this machine functional and transparent was not an easy task. There are a lot of technical issues, but it works fantastic, and you will see all the functional elements in this machine. So this is the Lung Museum. It would be nice if one of you have a look at this museum in the Vanadungri Medical College by Meges. So this has these machines which are working machines. Like one of the things it has is a negative pressure ventilator, which was a Second World War time machine. So this is it. So we kind of resurface the machine. We have new graphics working on this. And some research is now coming up on these age-old techniques. Now, having done that, I was thinking I must pay back to the society whatever I got from this country. So in relation to healthcare, we had a lot of functions. This was one on drugs, from darkness to dawn, and that time drugs were not recognized to be an important point in Nagpur. But this was a very important program attended by almost more than 1,000 students. And then we made this particular program called Grama Gatha. So we kind of conveyed important messages through the
Arya Charitable Trust. We will do it in the coming शुरुआत में दातेवाड़ी नामक गांव चुना गया। इसके लिए आवश्यक व्यायाम और अनुशासन को इन्होंने जाना। संवाद और गीत संगीत के माध्यम से लोक कला का उपयोग कर प्रस्तुत नाटक ने बच्चों के माता पिता, अभिभावक और गांव के बड़े बुजुर्गों को स्वास्थ्य के बारे में बहुत कुछ जानकारी दी।
जुलाब किंवा उलट्यांनी आपल्या शरीरातील पाणी कमी होतं, मग त्यानं काय होतं, जीवाला धोका संभवतो. म्हणून घरगुती सोपा बिना खर्चाचा जीवनरक्षक घोळ जर आपण आजारी माणसाला दिला तर त्यानं काय होतं, आजारी माणसाच्या रक्तातील साखर कमी होत नाही.
मीठ साखर पाणी यांचा.
So these messages, we create this kind of melodramatic events about 20 villages around. It was a good part because when the villages and students were on the dais, the entire village was watching them. It's not easy to get the villagers listen to your messages. So it really worked. And our work on technology was acknowledged all over the globe. So a lot of these universities outside. So this is a showcase of what we did, a video in my own chamber, which is my own part of this is like a lab. So that's where I work. And all these machines, a lot of them have been conceptualized and created in Nagpur. And remember, we have not received any grant for any of these projects. I honestly don't believe anywhere in the world anybody would have done so much without a single paisa grant. So this was all done by us in Nagpur in Dantoli, and they were all global standard gadgets. So the journey was when I started sensing that I was incomplete without technology. As I saw my counterparts in other parts of the world. So that's why the feeling came as why can't we do it? And that's where I learned to cross the borders. Started talking to technology fellows, starting learning their languages as to how do they communicate and what is their need. So what they need is precision. As medical fellows, we are not very perfect when it comes to numbers. And of course, I realize creating is an ultimate satisfaction. So when I create something, it's like obsession. Every day is new for me, every day. So there's something new happening, and that is what we did. And my only message is we can do it, but we have to trust ourselves. Our trouble is when we make something, most questions are asked only by our people. Whereas we get things from outside and we would never ask questions. I'll in fact show you something. Now there's a gadget which is used across the globe, which is like no baby is safe without that gadget. It's a box. It's about something like maybe 1.5 to 2 lakhs. I don't want to name the gadget. But we are so blocked with the mind that you can't be thinking beyond this box. The box and the technology could be just this. I'm going to inaugurate this in Ujjain on 21st of April. This particular thing would depict 100% what is done by that box. It's about 2 lakhs. And I'm very happy to partner with IIT Bombay, so they always help us. So they can assure that this is deliverable by this box and this can deliver it. So this has holes on different sizes. The flow dynamics is studied. It's just the way the gases flow from this and they come out from here is what that box could be. But we have that mindset. You have this and nothing can replace it. And I think this is what we need to change. And in medical technology, this is easily possible. With the brains that we have, kind of hope that the help that I got from our systems, like Persistence System helped me in getting those apps free. Then one American software company helped me in getting the app on iWatch free. So I think I was blessed to have help coming up without any question. A lot of my friends helped me. So without any help or grants, we could make this. What we miss is we have Atma Nirbhar Bharat, but Atma Vishwasi Bharat is very important. Until we don't trust ourselves, I don't think we would ever grow. We must ask questions. There's no doubt about it. But we should not start with disbelief. That's the point that sometimes I've felt. And I think a lot can be done when it comes to healthcare industry. India is not a poor country. We are a rich country, but we have poor mindset. And we need to change that. We have to trust our own self. Thank you. I hope I finished in time. No questions?
Anyone from the audience would like to ask a question? Anyone? Maybe from the back? Or from the front? Well, let me tell you that it was a privilege to have Mr. Deopujari here with us. And let me tell you, it's a rare occasion where you get to see inventions right on the stage. That something is really special. I thank you once again for coming here and increasing the esteem of this already used lineup. So thank you, sir. And now it is time for a quick word from Ritesh Saxena, Vice President, Kotak Mahindra Bank, that is our banking partner. Just like an invention needs ideas and ideas need support, they have been our support for this event. So now, Mr. Ritesh Saxena.